As you can see, I had a crash with the convergence, and it kind of was my fault. Everything was working perfectly, and then I crashed. I was actually hovering in airplane mode, which I'm sure isn't recommended, and it was a little windy, and then the wind died on me, and I didn't punch out like I should have. But I crashed, and I actually damaged, I think it was this aileron. Yes, it was this. The only thing that appeared to be damaged was this aileron, or excuse me, I keep calling it ailerons. This flaperon right here fell off, and then I did notice it seemed like it weakened the fuselage a little bit, but I had no idea it was as weak as it was. But there was obviously, there was actually 4 things that happened. Obviously, I fixed this. This was the obvious one. The other 3 issues, the one, like I said, it weakened right here. If you can see me moving this piece right here weakened. Okay, and I didn't know this. And also, one of the wires was loosened. It's not in here now. It was actually this wire right here that controls the, I think it was, it controls the motor. Yeah, because it wasn't the aileron servo or the flaperon, or excuse me, the aileron servo. It was the actual motor control of this, of this motor. So that was going on and off. And then also, the biggest thing was, they didn't put much glue here. Now, I understand that these things aren't made to crash. I get that. But it may have loosened eventually. But as you can see, you can zoom in here, or go in a little bit here. There's like barely any glue on this. And this is the, see the glue right here? This is the mount for the flight controller. And I was in safe mode and airplane mode because I fixed this, and I got a different battery, and I took off. It was flying good. I had about 2 more minutes of flight time, and I was going along, and it was pretty windy, but nothing that this thing couldn't handle before. And I believe that this loosened, and when you're in safe mode, if this is going to loosen, well, this is your stabilize. It's supposed to say, hey, keep it level. Well, if this loosened, the airplane actually slowly started rolling to the left. I tried to fight it, and I couldn't fight it no more, and then she just crashed. So when it crashed, it did all this damage. Busted this wing completely off, broke all my linkages here and here, and then it tore up my nose. Now, this is fixable. It wouldn't look very pretty, but it's fixable. But what I noticed, the biggest thing I noticed, was these huge channels here. As you can see, these huge channels here are for these wires. Well, there is no carbon spars at all the way out. If you look, there is nothing. There was just foam covers that were covering this. There's no carbon spars at all. The only carbon spars are from here to here, small little tiny carbon spars for this back part. Now I'm assuming that's because of the flimsiness of this foam. And then this boom is pretty strong for the motor. But there's no carbon spars other than those 2. So even all the way in the fuselage, there's nothing. All the way across these pylons are pretty beefy, and they tend to flex a lot in the flight and everything. And this piece right here was the only stiffness for this part, which is kind of cool. But problem with that is, if you look where it broke. Hello, there's nothing there. And there's actually a weak point where the servo goes. So literally there's like barely any foam holding that all the way through. You can see right where it cracked. It cracked from here all the way to the pylon. That's where your weakest point is. So I was going to fix this fuselage, but I said, you know what? I'll keep it as a spare. And I got a new fuselage here. And I'm not going to make the same mistake that they did. And I literally took these channels out. I took these channels out. It took a little bit of digging, but it wasn't too bad. And I'm actually going to lift this. I might actually clip this piece right here I'm going to clip that, clip the other one, and I'm going to run a full, I'm going to run a full length carbon spar all the way from, not necessarily wingtip to wingtip, but it's going to go past the pylon. It's going to go all the way through. I'm going to basically poke a hole through that foam, drop it in, fit test it, everything, and then I'll eventually glue it in there. So that's going to sturdy that up back there. I'm probably going to end up, well, for sure, I'm going to run another spar of this way. So they have a carbon spar here and a carbon spar running the length. I don't know if I'm going to go nose to tail all the way, but this is going to be basically stiffening up this garbage right here. I mean, this is just, this foam, I mean, if I had a light, I could probably shine through this. Oh, actually, yeah, look at this, look at this. You can see right where there's barely any foam. I mean, you can see light through there so easily. You can see my fingers. There's nothing there. That's a real weak point. Between here, which that's huge, that's part of the freaking, that's your main gig right there of strength. And then these guys, there's, you know, like I said, they put those plastic channels in there, but it's like, okay, that's fine. You stiffened up this part where the flight control is, and you stiffen up kind of right here, but there's nothing, it doesn't connect anything. So how the heck do you expect that to, I mean, you can even see it flexing a little bit. I could break that so easy. Look at how the pylon flexes. I mean, that thing is just, that's just garbage, man. I mean, when I say garbage, I don't mean, the plane is a great plane. It's good. Eflite's really pretty good. But just be warned, if you crash this thing, you're gonna damage it. I don't care if it looks like a minor crash. Maybe if you're, you know, a foot off the ground and you just happen to chop throttle and it lands in grass or lands on carpet, you might be okay. But if you're gonna crash any type of wingtip or nose in like this, any type of flexion this way, or your nose or your wingtips, you're gonna do damage, and you're not gonna see the damage because it's kind of covered up by everything. The wires aren't gonna hold it together, but they'll seem to hold it together. So I'm gonna shut this video off, and I'll turn it back on and show you guys the difference in these when you start adding carbon spars to this foam. And yeah, tune in next time. I'll be back.